Welcome to the Old World Fanatics, your Warhammer fantasy podcast to quench your hobby thirst for all things the old world. I'm one of your hosts, Gomo, and I'm joined again tonight by Andrew and Josh. How's everyone doing?
Good, thank you.
Pretty good.
How you going,
Pretty
Josh?
good, Gomo. How are you?
Good. We're trying our new, not that anyone hopefully notices, but we're on a different platform again. So keep changing stuff. Hopefully we've sorted everything out. So we didn't, I didn't like some of the lag on some of the other ones now that we're doing a lot more YouTube videos. So we're trying another one out and hopefully, fingers crossed, that's the only one we have to change to now.
Any more professional.
Cool. Yeah, so
Gomo's a perfectionist. He
Yeah.
loves it.
Him. Yeah, it's all Gomo.
it's a little annoying though when you do all these, YouTube videos and you
Riding
pull them down
coattails.
and you load them up,
Yeah.
and then suddenly you go, everyone's voice is out of whack with their talking, and then it comes back in, and then that, and it's like, "Argh." Anyway,
We hardly see any sign of that. We just come on here, spit out our opinions, and then leave you to deal with the fallout.
Cool. So hopefully this one works better. Awesome. I've got a pretty good episode tonight. We're going to actually just delve more into the rule book for once. We haven't really done that too much. So we just picked two areas. One I don't think's covered a whole lot in the zeitgeist, whatever you want to call it, the meta out there at the moment. The meta content out there at the moment is just the scenarios. I wanted to go through some of them because I know we haven't played any yet technically, have we, Andrew? We've just been doing open battle or whatever it's called. So this will help if we get a game in this week or whatever. We can roll up a scenario because we would have talked through
We'll
it. So.
roll up the standard bloody pitch battle.
Yeah, maybe we take that one off the table.
Oh, you mean you
Roll up a
literally
one.
roll it.
I don't know. We'll see. We could roll it beforehand. So I don't know. But yeah, we're going to cover that. And then, because I don't think it's going to be a massive thing, I thought let's just start digging into some stuff. So I just thought magic items. I mean, we've played a few games. There's been a good few weeks. We probably got our opinions on certain ones. Just see where we go with that. Does that sound cool? Because I don't think we've got, apart from news and hobby, that's sort of the main topic I wanted to cover.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, sounds
Awesome. But before we get into any of that, I am going to shout out our patrons like usual, and it's gone up again. This time, I think there's technically 21, I think it is. So thanks so much for the patrons. If I'll shout you guys out in a minute, but yeah, look, we don't expect anyone to sign up for this, but it is only $2 US, and it does obviously just go a little way to the cost of running the show, so it's much appreciated. But if you don't want to do that, likewise, we're publishing a lot on YouTube, so and if you're into YouTube, obviously. If you're watching it on YouTube, like, subscribe, press the little bell button, that sort of stuff, and you'll be notified of our new content. But with that, we want to thank our newest one is Jonathan. He's just joined a couple of days ago, I think, on the weekend. But otherwise, there's Gilthos, Cameron, Elliot. Oh, you are there, Josh, sorry. Chris, Harrison, Josh is there. Gilthos, Julian Diesel, Cameron, Richard, William, Robert, Sniff Putts, Cuddlesworth. I don't know. Is that the same name? I keep forgetting. I've got to write these down. Andrew McAllister, Bobby Gherkin, Gubwich, Sean Ritchie, Todd, and Chapstick, a.k.a. the OG. Jared, I think that Sniff Spits now is just changing every episode. Must be.
Yeah.
Gonna have to find that one out. That's all good. No, these guys are helping us. Just go a little way with the cost of running the podcast. So thank you very much. With that though, we'll get on to some news because we actually have news. Amazingly, and I just realised
got some news this week.
Yeah, well, as in
so long.
article. Well, it wasn't an article; it's a pre-release article. But I figure it's probably worth running through. And I just realised I set up the screen share for something else. So I might stop that, and I'll just share. Just so I've got it up here for people who are watching on YouTube. Otherwise, we'll talk through it. But basically, it's from this. Was it this morning? This came out. Just basically Warhammer Community what's coming out this weekend type thing. Yeah. Cool. Okay, let's bring this up. Here we go. So we've got not that. That's the Age of Darkness. Let's
Scroll
do
down.
that. Do the old Warhammer, the old world. This is
scrolled
quite
right past
timely.
it. I remember 6 months ago, you would go through all those bits and pieces. Just
very true.
Just
Because we had nothing
back in
else
the
to talk
day.
about. I actually do like. I mean, I wouldn't get those because I haven't even paid my other ones, but yeah, they do look cool. But that's for another time. I haven't even played a game of it.
Hot rock, hasn't it?
But yeah, we've got enough to talk about these days. So I
So
guess
much
we have
better.
to unfortunately skip some of that. That'll be on our sister podcast, which is on a different channel. This has actually surprised me because so anyway, start off basically this week. We're going to have a bunch of I guess wave 2 of Tomb Kings and Bretonians. And they've started splitting up the box basically into all the stuff you can get, which is cool. Good timely one because I'll talk about it in hobby, but I started painting my Bone Dragon and then I decided I'll probably want to grab a second one because I can't be bothered. You can't really magnetize. It's going to be too annoying. But then I was going, does that mean I have to buy a box? Yeah, because if it was going to be 6 months, I might as well buy a box and try and sell off all the other bits. But then bang, this came out. So good
I think
timing.
they could have designed it to be magnetizable if they had
Easy.
wanted.
Yeah.
Easy.
Of
I mean,
course.
there's not a whole lot that's slightly different. I mean, there
It's
is
just
a little
how
bit.
all the bits line up.
the
It's
how
not
to
really.
bit, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
annoying. Bit of a shame. Is
What's
what
the
it is.
price in Australia?
I don't know. It's actually probably not too. I think it's sitting that 120 mark. I don't know if
120.
that's like GW price or
Yeah.
what's it called, retail. I think because you know how people leak the US ones and they try and convert it and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I've heard the older plastics are quite reasonable. Like the Knights of the Realm, etc.
Yeah, are they sick?
I haven't seen the prices.
I think they're going out for 60 Australian or something.
Was it 60 Australian or US?
Ah,
I thought it was
maybe.
US, but it's for
It might be,
12
but
or
then
something.
it might be. Oh,
There's quite
okay,
a
yeah,
few.
maybe.
It was
Maybe
a-
you're
yeah, it
right.
was a
Maybe
big
that is
box.
US. I'm getting confused. Yeah.
That's pretty good,
There's a
but
box of
still
12.
for that'd be 90 odd, I'm guessing. That's pretty good.
It's
12
about
12
90-ish.
Knights.
Yeah, that's probably right. Hey, yeah, no, you're probably right because isn't the Tomb Guard about 110 or 120? That's 20 figures.
Yeah.
And then I would imagine then the new Knights on Foot would be around that price because there's 20 in there.
Yeah, that's not too bad because your old boxes were like 70 or 80 bucks for 10. I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think I don't. Yeah, obviously these things are more expensive than when they were first out, but the fact is, I mean, they're not ridiculous. It's not like they're trying to get you for the Age of Sigmar sort of prices when you get 6 figures for heaps. And I know the sculpts
everything
are
is,
different,
yeah.
and all, but it's not too bad. Yeah, so that's come out, which is cool. I'm excited about this guy. I think he's a made to order, not made to order, but he's one of the ones. All these ones, I think, are the ones you get through GW
Forge
Direct,
World?
so you can't buy them through independent. Like I didn't see him on those lists that were leaked around the US prices, so I'm assuming you're going to get them through Games Workshop. I'd like
Has
to get him
he?
there.
Sorry.
It's Forge World resin, isn't it?
Yes. Well, did you see my video I posted today?
Yeah.
No.
With a BSB.
So I got my Tomb Herald, which is the same sort of guy. Not same. It's the Forge World resin. Yeah. So I pulled him apart and did a quick video on him. But yes, Forge World resin. Yep. It's really good.
Oh, so he was Forge World too. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's quite. I was quite impressed with it. So this guy, I think's probably got better proportions and everything. So I think he's a better mini. But can't really complain with the other one either.
Is he a special character in the
Yeah, so I
Journal?
didn't realize that initially. Yes, but yes, he is. Yeah, he's
okay.
I think you could still use him as like a herald or whatever as well, or even a Tomb King if you wanted to. Tomb Prince. If you're not allowed to use special characters. So, and then he's got other bonuses if he's taken with Cetra as well and stuff like that. So, obviously, all the plastics. I'd just be interested to see what they all come out with. I think they're going to be pretty, like I said, pretty affordable for how many you get, even though they are the old.
I just got to plug my fan back in.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's 36. 36 miniatures. Yeah.
These guys are coming out. I've already got this guy. I wouldn't bother with him. I never got this guy. I think I've got a crappy version of it. I can't remember. And I never got him. But I've made my own Necrotex. So that looks a bit ugly. So I'll probably
his face is like really. What's going on with that?
You get heaps of whips with the chariot ones and stuff anyway. So I've just made a bunch of. You just make them up yourself. And I don't need any of these guys, so that's all good. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see they're all out. So basically, I think most stuff is out as of Saturday. So then, well, at least pre-order. So people can actually flesh out both armies, I think. Well, actually, is that right with Brett's? Let's have a look here. So you've got all the Knights of the Realm on foot.
What with the Swarmy guys, by the way?
Oh, they were out last. They were already out.
Oh, they're already out. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
Mostly sold out, but yeah, they're already out. I think every time I've gone to look, they're sold out. I don't know if they still are now, like back when they first got released. So these guys are finally making an appearance, which is cool.
Yeah, finally. I was wondering when they were going to pop up.
I wouldn't
mind I was going to think about getting a box yet, but I'm not doing my Bretts for ages. What I might see if people split them a bit, because I wouldn't mind just getting a couple just to have a go at painting them, because I just want to see what they're like. Just for fun.
I wonder how they rank up. They look like they sort of reach over their bases.
Yeah, they're big.
Like the old problem.
It's like, let's increase exactly. Gotta be back to the same problem. But,
Yes.
But anyway, I think people are going to get these purely for, like, if you're starting a Bretonnian army, even if you're not going to use a lot of these guys, you're going to get them for all the bits to whack on your knights and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to get sold out pretty quick, I think.
That's a very good point, actually. Yeah. There's a lot of good bits on there.
I mean,
because
the
old 6-head pack, it looks pretty aged now, especially when you scroll down, look at how plain they are compared to
these ones.
Yeah, very good point.
Yeah, so I think if you add that in, but the problem is that's where the bits, you get them off eBay or split up, but they're probably going to get pricey in that as well. Collectors will get this guy, I guess, but we'll see.
He's caused so much controversy.
Almost have to get him now and paint him up on the YouTube channel because everyone wants to see.
Yeah,
that's it.
I'm probably, of all the models here, I'm probably most likely to buy this one.
Yeah, well, and it would fit your army more as well a bit, wouldn't it? Because you have gone for the older style a bit more.
Yeah, probably for the older scale.
Just accentuate the fingers with some brilliant highlighting and that nose. Everything that everyone's hating.
And then is this everything that was? Because the questing knights, is everything out that you need now?
Growls are already out, aren't they?
Yeah,
the Growls are out.
Yeah.
Trebuchet made an appearance.
Yeah, that's before, wasn't it?
Must
was that already? Yeah, that was.
No, that was.
Yeah, I think that's.
Oh, is that the skull? Sorry. Yeah,
that's the skull. But weren't they already out? Were they already out? I don't know.
I can't remember seeing them. Because
Mm.
if it is, then I
have to bring it
can't
out,
think of anything else you'd need, really.
Yeah.
This
is
a model
tempting,
for the
I've never obviously got the Green Knight.
Surgeon at Arms, but
the
Green Knight's a good model.
I'm assuming you've got him though.
Yeah, I do. I actually have him in a box somewhere. But I've got a couple of his horses. One of the horses I've used for one of the lords that I usually run. And bizarrely, I'm painting up one of the mounted damsel at the moment.
This exact one.
Well, that little girl. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Getting her up for the other for Uprising.
I wish they had that Robin Hood trio. That was so good. I love that.
Oh, Bertrand the Brigand.
Yeah.
Huey Legros and
the Friar Tuck guy. An old mate with his.
I know. I can't believe I don't.
It was so good.
So I just as a rumor, I don't know if it's true at all, but somewhere, I think it was on Reddit or our Discord group, someone mentioned that there was a rumor that the Orc one goes for pre-order on something like the 6th of April, if that is a Saturday. So if that's the case, that's still like a whole month away. So I wonder if
April.
Yeah. That might be totally wrong, but I'm just wondering if that's true, because this is waited a month almost, then they do this, then.
So would that be the same timeline from the first release to the second? As in, like,
I don't know. I didn't actually bother to look. That's a good point. Not sure. It's hard to say because we got ours later. So
I don't know.
Probably
seems
longer.
like we got it the other day, but yeah.
Because we got Feb 10, but it was released the 20th, was it? It's about a month. It's probably been just over. Well, no, it'll be like 5 weeks maybe from pre-order to pre-order, maybe like for the world.
Yeah, for the world. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, about that.
So,
it is weird that they preview the Orcs and Goblins so early on. Really, like.
Yeah.
It was a bizarre decision, in my opinion.
Anyway,
because I think it's raised our
up,
expectations about the cadence of how quickly these things are going to be released.
Suddenly,
it's like it's like silence.
Yeah, I'm sort of wow. I mean, still need to get an army that's based up ready properly. So I don't mind. But at the same time, if you're not one of the original armies, then I can imagine at some point you're like, come on, where's my stuff? So
that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
like it's a huge barrier, really, especially if you don't actually have any minis to actually start to pick up a faction.
And the longer they take, the more money they lose because everyone will just buy them elsewhere. I mean, there's so much on eBay now, just flooding eBay. I mean, it's still expensive, but there's so many more old world stuff like when you search now than ever before. So people are
about like original models, you mean?
Yeah.
Some's reasonable. I have seen some pricing that's like, not that bad.
Well, I got a Empire Griffin because I mean you can buy him still, the big Griffin, but it works out to be like $100 and something. But he's out of stock at the moment, and I just bid. There was one with like 10 crossbows or something, which I don't really need, but for $75, so I just put 80 on there, and I got it for 79. So I was like, okay, that's
nice.
It's $20-something less than buying it from Games Workshop. It's not even in Games Workshop. I don't technically need it yet, but I'm figuring when I start playing my Empire, I probably will need something like a Griffin. So.
Is that after your little conversation with ASB the other
day? Yeah. So I've got to make my little Griffins, the baby Griffins, which I already have, but I don't have the big one. So, yeah. Cool. Anyway, that's good pre-order coming up. So for those who are buying stuff, get on that. The other one that we were going to talk about, and I'll try and bring it up here, is just we thought we'd touch on that news that people. The annoying thing is I can't just easily switch the screen. That is annoying. Have to stop and start. Found one problem with this thing. Sorry about that. Especially people listening, they're like, I can't see it anyway. Basically wanted to just quickly cover the Total War sad news, well, sort of. That was last week. I don't know if it's sad, I don't know if it's unexpected or not, but basically there's a Warcom article on new reinforcements for Cathay and Kislev, but they do a little asterisk around Total War. You go right down the bottom.
I'm not sure if it's sad. It's more like just a random kick in the shins.
Yeah, exactly.
Just an unnecessary
It's the same. Whoever wrote this also wrote that one about the legacy factions, didn't they? When they went like no need to do it, but just still punched you in the head anyway. They wrote, fans of Warhammer the Old World should note that there aren't any current plans to bring Kislev or Grand Cathay to the tabletop for the foreseeable future. Well, thanks for that. Yeah, is there anything wrong with us thinking they are? Does that hurt their business in any way? It doesn't. And then what do they think this does?
What the heck?
Do they think this goes, oh, this is cool, then I'll go spend more money on my orcs? I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, people that are holding out for it know there's going to be a long time before it comes out. So, we're not waiting for it and not buying other minis.
No.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It just
expectation
feels like
management. That's what it is.
Yeah. It feels like they say stuff without saying, oh, we'll just wait to see how everything pans out. Because they'll build. Surely they'll release things if it's going to sell. If this goes rocket ship, then they will do things. But so why even just don't mention it? I don't know why you have to mention it in the negative. I just that's weird.
Maybe they're just getting heaps of emails and it's just...
They might. It's just
skippable emails.
Maybe.
I mean, because I saw it posted the other day. They did release an article really early on back in 2020, outlining the initial planning stages of the Kislev faction. They were clear they were making
I mean, we could go back and look at that, but was that totally, definitely said that it was old world, or it was more just here's what we've been working on in the old world, as in stuff that eventually just went
I think it was strongly implied.
Yeah.
I think they were saying it was going to be part of the old world. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, I vaguely remember. I didn't go back and look at the particulars, and things change, and that's cool. And that's the good thing about this. It
They do
can change
change.
again. It like
Yeah.
they'd be stupid if it all comes out and it runs well. I just can't imagine that they couldn't sell. Like if they brought 2 new plastic armies out, they would sell like hotcakes.
Yeah, they would.
And it would further split their whole AOS old world crap that they seem to be so like worried about as well. You know what I mean? Like we'll see. I mean, it's sad, but we would forget about. Well, I shouldn't say this, but maybe we wouldn't. But like, you know what I mean? Like some of the legacy factions, you'd be more accommodating not having them if there was new armies coming out.
Yeah, I think it's just coming down to, you know, like some of those videos and articles about the GW bosses and the way that their thought mentality. Like, I don't know. I swear they've got something against fantasy. I don't know what it is. They're just, you know, they're all just like 40k fanboys, and it's like they just want to protect that. You know, it's just,
yeah.
But, I don't know. We'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah. But anyway, it just feels very weird that I have to put little mentions in an article that wasn't even in the old world section. Just like, stick it to them. But anyway, is what it is. Anyway, that was our news, I guess. Was there any? I don't think there was it. That was probably it. Do you want to get on to some hobby time?
Yeah,
done some hobby.
Yeah, let's do some hobby. Shall
I've
we?
done a little bit.
Yeah, you can go
Fun
first
gun.
this week if you like.
Oh, okay. Well, mine's going to be probably the quickest again. So as everybody knew, I got 200 and something odd bases printed up through.
Oh yeah.
Is it FDM? Is it? Is that the style of printing?
Yeah, it was an FDM.
Yeah, FDM printing.
Use, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I was having some dramas as I was talking about last week with prepping them for painting, because it was cobblestone, and with the printer, as it's obviously finished on the top of the cobblestone and moved on to the next layer of the next cobblestone, it's left like a little thread of filament. So I was sanding these back, and it took quite a while on 200 odd bases. I'm trying to sand all this stuff off, and some brilliant minds. So thank you to the guys who responded on YouTube, told me that you can use a little cheat method, which I've started doing. And it worked a treat. It was either use a heat gun, which would work. I just didn't have one. But I ended up buying a little jet lighter, like a little butane torch. You know, the little hobby. Yeah. So I got one of them.
One. Yeah, right.
Yeah, little one, and just cook the top, and it sort of it took them off a treat. So it worked really well. And then I've painted all of mine today, or primed all of my bases today. But I'll see if you guys can work this out. I put them on a big cardboard box, basically, that I cut open, and I sprayed them all, then left them out in the sun, and then sprayed them all. Then I came back at the end of the day and picked them all up. Guess what happened?
Is it warp or something? Got soft.
Yeah.
Is that the UV? Yeah.
So I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of horseshoe.
Yeah,
So
massively.
It's like, I'll get.
Is that the UV or is that the paint on top of the?
Nah, that would have been from the. So that's my rule book. So you can see it's. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah.
Yeah, that's like
happened.
I'm guessing the cardboard box wasn't quite flat, and the sun, because it's sat out, has it's sort of molded to the cardboard box. So now I'm going to have to wait for another hot day, because it's bloody hot today. I wait for another hot day.
Squash it back down.
Yeah, I need to find or get a hairdryer and get something that's actual flat, and then just
maybe just dip it in boiling water or something like that.
Yeah, well, I'll come up with something, but yeah, that's
so. That's the big one?
So I didn't think the MDF could warp like that. Yeah. I knew the resin did. Resin's notorious, especially if it's not fully cured. It just does that all the time, and it's really annoying.
So it's more heat than anything.
Your plastic,
a bit of heat. Yeah. Nah. So I'm gonna have to be careful storing them as well, I realise, because if I don't store them on a flat surface in my shed and it heats up like anything, like it does in there, they're all just going to warp again. So there you go.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
I mean,
fair enough.
that's
So
not the only damn
something to-
warps. Like the bloody Games Workshop Dragon
Yeah.
base
Yeah, I
out of the
saw all
box
them,
was
the big
way
ones.
warped. So I just put that in. I already bought some new ones, just 3D printed, not whatever they are, FTM ones, I guess, as well. We have them. That was perfectly straight. So the Games Workshop one's just not in the bin, but I'm gonna have to hair dry it or hot water it and just leave it under some books.
I'll be able to
It's
sort them
way too
out.
warped.
It's just annoying, and it's only really the big one, so it's not that bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
'Cause-
how that wouldn't have made a difference on the little
Nah,
ones.
the
would it?
25s were fine. It's just
Yeah.
them and the Chariot 100 by 50s.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, fair
I'll
enough.
sort them
Yeah.
out. That's only, I think, 7 or 8 odd bases, so that's not bad.
I guess that's one of the good things about the MDF movement trays, isn't it? Is they really they don't really warp. They're very reliable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're good.
Yeah.
So who's up next? Sweet
I'm gonna
hobby.
do mine, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's up to a few things. Probably the biggest undertaking was getting these peg knights sort of up in the air. I spent a bit of time because I did sort of most of the first one last week, I think, just on some ruins. And then I've actually was trying to plan a second unit with a bit more of a naturalistic sort of approach where I love building fences, guys.
Oh no, he's done matchsticks fences again.
Yeah.
So I built a little tree out of some wire, put some bark compound on it, and then I've got some little fences going. And then I'm thinking of building like a little scene of maybe like a fox like scat with some rabbits sort of scattering away from the fox or something like that. It's just
good, man.
Just something to catch the eye.
True artist, Josh. True artist.
So is this just on your second unit of peg knights, or have you done another second unit? Because you've already got peg knights, don't you? And then you did a second unit for your game.
So this would be the third unit then?
Oh,
I guess
so
because I'm doing 2 new units for the old world because the bases are done for the very first unit for 6 ed, 40 by 40.
Gotcha. So you're not changing them. You're just doing some. Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm just
you're
just doing
some old world. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it was just the way I'd done those bases. They're very unstable if they're not in the movement tray, and then it was just too much of a headache to not do that. And so I'm just like, oh look, I'll just do a whole bunch of new ones.
Yep.
So that's where I've ended up. And it wasn't that hard to do. I sort of used printed off more Pegasuses and then just had to scrounge around for some more riders. So normally I try to use like the 5th ed, like Questing Knights or Knights of the Realm on them because I think they're really dynamic.
Yeah.
And the reason I go for that over the 6th ed Peg Knights, because I could use them, is I don't know, I'm not that impressed with the dynamism of those Pegasuses. They look very, I don't know what you guys think, but they look very static the way they're sort of sitting there. Maybe it's just the angle they sit with the flying sand. But essentially I've now based them up. So I've got one sitting on top of the tree with a big sort of maybe 1.5 mil rod base sort of sitting, giving a bit more stability. Then I've got one off to the side over the fence, and I've got one at the front, like right down near the fence. But it's just like I like having different
screenshots of this.
Yeah. Maybe I'll show it off on a hobby section at some point if I do a stream. But then I made sure it was also compatible with having them in a line versus in a lance formation, because I'm still not sure how I'm going to use Peg Knights really in the old world, how often they'll be in lance formation or not yet. I feel like I'm probably going to start off with them in the skirmishes. And then if I've charged something and then if I have a chance to reform, I might go into lance formation then, if I'm going to do a follow-up charge or something like that. That's probably when
how big are your units that you'd be running?
3, I think.
Yeah.
3. I'd like to run 4, but I don't think I have enough space to run like in the list to run units of 4, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'll always run 2 units, or maybe I'll just run 1. I think it also depends on the list I'm running. But I think it'd be good to have 2 built at least so that I can do that.
Yeah.
For sure. And then, otherwise, I have been focusing a little bit more on Uprising coming up as well. So I'm actually running 3 level 2 damsels in Uprising. So I've got to
Cool. And just
paint up
so
that one.
if
So,
people jump in late, that's still a 6-ed tourney, hey?
Yeah, so 6-ed tournament.
That's good.
When is that? In 3... Oh, just under 3 weeks now. I think it's 16th of March. So,
it's close.
Gotta get onto that. So I'm starting to paint up her, and I might paint up a new lord for that unit for the thing as well. Because I had this old lord, that I mentioned before. That's on the Green Knight mount that I've had, but I've actually got one of the 5th ed sort of Grail Knight sort of heroes guys holding. There's a guy holding like a 2-handed sword around his head. With his helmet open. And I quite like him, so I think I might try it if I can get him painted up with some nice looking barding. I think I might take him as well. Just starting to work on that a bit, and then trying to be doing a little bit of printing, but I've had some. Finally relented with my FEP film. So I was trying to print off some Chaos Furies for this logo because I'm just going to keep doing that. And then I had like a whole bunch, probably half the print failed. So they just hadn't adhered very well. And I've been having a few. I think I've been having more fails lately than I normally have, and I've actually had this dent in the FEP film that it's been bugging me for like 3 or 4 months. Because you shouldn't really have any dents in the film. Because if you have a dent in the film, that can tear, you can get a leak, and you can get resin all through the printer, and it's destroyed. So it's a bit of a risky gambit, just continuing to print stuff off an FEP. Because it's basically what happened. I think it was I was printing off some bases. One of the bases detached, fell into the vat. Don't think I realized it was in there, and I started another print, and then it just got squished into the film, and that's how I ended up with a dent in it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that's how you end up with dents. It's the plate that's pushed something into the film that's not attached to the plate as such.
Yeah.
But I continued to print, and it was fine, and it's been okay for ages. Like I just haven't had time to worry about changing the film because it takes about it takes about 40 minutes or half an hour maybe or something. I don't know. I just hasn't been low on my priority list, but I finally got around to doing that because I've been sick of these fails. And so after a while, the film does sort of get a bit tired, doesn't adhere, doesn't release nicely, and it gets really cloudy. So
do you buy a new one?
Finally got around to doing that.
Or
you buy sort of packs of 5.
Okay.
They're just like clear plastic sheets. With a thing each side, you've got to make sure you take off both sides because if you just take off one side, it just doesn't work. As I found out the very first time I changed the sheet back in the day.
Classic.
Is it really hard to see there's even a film thing on it? Like, is it like something like
one
that?
side?
Is it clear?
So this is the thing. So the packs I got, one side is a nice dark blue color on the cover. So you take that one off. The other side is clear.
Yeah.
And the central bit is obviously clear. So you take off one, you think that's all, but there's actually
another
clear sheet. It's like
setting you up to fail. Somebody's laughing at this.
Both sides blue, like what the heck?
Yeah.
Anyway, I finally got around doing that. So because my printer, it's really on its last legs, really. There's two screws that's designed to hold the build plate in position. One of those screws doesn't work anymore. Like I've tried to replace it, it still doesn't bite. So I've only got one side of the ball thing that holds the build plate level. And then the 2 screws that hold the vat down. I don't know, the screws have eventually, one side has completely lost all its thread to the point that I've had to put some of the, those plumbers, like tape you can put around thread if you're starting to lose it. I've had to put that around one of them because it's just, otherwise it would just come out. Guys.
Oh, God.
It still works though. It still works. I'm not going to throw it out yet.
I was getting tempted today. I started going back to my Amazon shopping basket, not shopping basket, what's it called? Like a list that I remember that one I sent last year, or the year before now, which is like, I should buy this for Christmas. And it had like the whole everything I needed. I don't know if you remember that, Josh. I
Yeah.
think I sent it to you. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe I should get into it. But like you said, it's a whole hobby in itself.
Yeah.
It is. It
mm.
really is. It opens up
Well-
so many doors, but
Yeah, I know.
What did it set you back for a decent printer?
I
couple
mean,
of
it's not
grand?
that expensive.
Oh,
no,
no,
not at
no.
all.
I think
Oh,
everything
no,
I
not at
looked at
all.
was like about $1,000, you know?
Oh,
Like, yeah, I can't
Well,
remember
like the
what it
Mars
was.
3 I got, I think it was like $400. You know, that's all it was.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Actually,
once
maybe
you
the
get
one
all
I was
the other
looking at was
stuff,
like 700. But then how much is that UV? Because like you don't need everything, but it's good to have it, isn't it? Like the UV, the thing, like that. What do you call it? Like the
the wash and cure.
the washer cure. Yeah.
I don't have
like,
one of
and
those.
stuff. And you don't? Okay, yeah, but yeah, okay.
I just use the sun.
Yeah,
And
well,
then if
that's
I
the
get
thing. I
like
mean, we do
4
live in
cloudy
Australia.
days in a row, I get frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. So anyway, maybe I'll have to have a bit of a. Maybe we can go. We should go halves, Andrew, and start a 3D printing machine.
I think, the
Yeah.
$700 would be like the slightly bigger ones. Like the one I got was just the Mars 3, which is quite a small plate, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if I went again, I would get a bigger one.
So I was listening to Mountain. So it's sort of off topic, but it's not 3D printing. The Mountain Miniatures guy. He was talking about a new machine that they've got that does 12K, but to print bases, he said you obviously don't need it in 12K, and he said some of the designs are actually. So the printer is so accurate that if there's any issues in the design, so in this case, the designs of the bases had all like the texture on the top, but there was like a slight gap between the texture in areas and the actual base, like because when you zoomed right in, it wasn't actually connected, and then so this printer was not connecting them, even though it was like miniature. So the whole thing could just slip off. The whole top of it was just falling off top of the base.
Yeah, that's all it is.
It's getting so accurate now. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is 12K, so I think as we've discussed in the past, like for me, that number doesn't tell me how good the printer is.
Exactly, yeah. But in this one, it was a good one. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, you're right. It's the size of the thing versus the 12K. But yeah.
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 Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so the other thing is more old world related is I'm starting to try to think, can I make a Dark Elf Cult of Slanesh themed list out of the legacy armies? Only because I saw that you can take
like
Chaos
allies.
Warriors as allies, as uneasy allies, and suddenly it's like
Yeah.
opens the window there. I'm like, could I wrangle something out of that? You know, because there's all the spawn and chaos trolls and things like that, and chaos furies you could get in there. I think it's doable. Like, because all you need is an exalted. I think it's an aspiring champ and maybe some chaos knights or something, and then you could add in some other chaosy dudes out of that. Because I don't think you can have an exalted champ unless it's 1,000 points or something. So if you had 500 point allied
contingent, whatever it's called,
aspiring. Yeah, a little contingent. I think I could possibly wrangle that. You know, like I'm not sure I'd be able to use it very often because I mean I would imagine that any sort of organized play would probably be like no allies.
Yeah, it sounds
shut me
like
down
initially. Yeah.
But I feel like even if I couldn't run it, I still think there might be scope that I could still apply the guys I painted to the old world. I think I'd still be able to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think obviously friendly games and stuff. I'm sure you could come up with something where you can just have some of these units from different things. I think
tournaments, if it's not, if you talk to the TO and the list isn't just some stupid overpowered, if
you're not doing it for
there's a theme behind it, and it's semi-competitive, but it's not like stupid.
Yeah, arguably probably underpowered because a lot of the K-Knight stuff, I'd be like, no, I'm not taking the the big cauldron or like that.
Especially if it's uneasy allies. Yeah,
it's an uneasy ally, which I think means it's not as bad as suspicious, isn't it? Because I think I was reading today, it's like suspicious. I think you lose. It's a leadership debuff if you're within 6 inches of them or something. Which is
the other one you just can't use the inspiring presence, is it?
I don't think. Well, I was reading that.
Oh, you can't.
You can't do it in general, but with the uneasy one, you can't target uneasy allies with buff spells and that kind of thing. They're not considered friendly models for that in that regard.
I've read it once, that bit, but hasn't gone in. Like, I haven't gone back to it because I haven't even thought about allies yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not sure.
I'm only thinking about them because it's a ridiculous.
It's good.
Ridiculous.
Well,
thing
when
I'm
we
trying to
do the Dark Elf review, you should help do that. Like, we should do that one with you, but then we can at the end of it, like, try plug it in, see how it would work. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean that's the
That
only
would be
bit that
cool.
I'd be. I have some degree of. I haven't closely looked at the Dark Elf list otherwise. I'm not sure how it go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be
All
fun.
good.
We'd totally do that.
Cool.
That's
on
it.
to me then, is it? Yeah,
Yep.
cool.
Yeah.
I didn't get as much done last week because I had got busy a couple of nights. So I definitely, that slow grow thing I was going to get to, didn't get to it. And then,
Are they
it wasn't gonna
orcs?
happen. Yeah.
Was that, when did the slow grow the first round happen? Has it already happened or is it happening?
Yeah, last Sunday. And they had they had a massive, I think they had 40, did they say there was 40 something people there or something?
Yeah. They said there was a lot.
Massive.
Yeah.
It's like massive
Oh my
turnout.
God.
Obviously, not just everyone playing Old World, but obviously that would have been a massive percentage of it. So I think it's
that was
a
40 in
lot of people
total
back.
that came to Legions.
Yeah, and I
saying.
think some Legions Club, some
Oh,
meets haven't been, that many. I went there to pick something up once, and there was like maybe 15 people there or something.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's getting back to just on that first one was back, and there was a lot of people like me who then commented, "Oh, sorry, I couldn't make it." So. If everyone turned up who was actually used to turn up as well, it'd get pretty big.
Yeah, it would.
Which is pretty cool.
Oh, I didn't realize things had changed in that regard. Because I
So-
must have been there during its heyday.
Yeah. Well, it was very busy usually, so it went down a bit, but yeah. Anyway, so that's cool. But yeah, no, I didn't get my orcs done, so I'll just keep plugging away. And now I'll probably, I don't know, I can't remember if it goes to 750 or I don't know, I have to look what it does. No, because it's 600 was the first one, so I think it goes up to like 900 or something. I can't remember what it was.
It's a decent
So
jump.
I still can't put the
That's a
Wyvern in.
big
I'll
jump,
just
yeah.
get some other stuff. Yeah, I can't remember. I'll have to have a look.
It's a significantly bigger jump than the one I run, which is
but-
200 points every 5 weeks, rather than
Yeah,
300
I
a
might-
month.
Probably totally wrong. 'Cause I haven't really followed along. I wasn't going to do it initially, but I'm just using it obviously as an excuse to try and move forward with the orcs. But
Well, that's
I
all it
did
is,
get
isn't
the dragon
Yeah.
started for my Tomb Kings and mostly done. The dragon part is mostly done. Just got highlights and stuff to go on him.
Ooh.
And some more pigment and stuff on the bases. But he's sort of
He
good
was
enough
looking
now where I can, like, doing the Howder part now and all that. And now that I've done the Herald BSB, I'll probably undercoat him as well, and I'll just do it all together, so it's similar. So I'll probably, I'm not going to have him done. If we play this Thursday or whatever, Andrew, I wouldn't have him done by then, but at least the dragon's done. So if I do him, he's easy on there.
If you bring him, come on.
Yeah. It was, the paint, I think the paint job's turning out. Like, I don't mind that sort of dirty, bony colour. It came out pretty good, I think. So,
Looks good.
and I think there's pictures somewhere. If people want them, I'll put them on the show notes or whatever. But yeah, so that's about the only painting. I'm trying to think if I did anything else. I don't think I did. So that was probably my week, just spending some time on him. He was fun. So that's why I was thinking I would get a second one, because he's actually not that. Takes time, but it's not like, it's not very complicated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think it'd be that bad to just paint up another one. So
No.
and then have both. Actually, I want to do a mod though. I've seen some pretty cool conversions with the leech guy. Putting him like on a, like the flying stand and using that. You know how that sand stuff's coming out? You know how he's got that sand shooting out that bird
Oh, yeah.
from
Yeah.
the Howder? People convert it so he sort of looks like he's flying on the sand sort of things. And then they put him on a flying stand, and then he can come your leech with the
the
fly
fly.
dunes or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
so he's
yeah.
flying around.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Yeah, so I might do that. I'll use him for that, but obviously I'll have a double and put the proper one on the Bone Dragon as well. So
Yeah.
So run them both ways potentially. But that's about it. Yeah, cool. That was my hobby. And then obviously switching all this tech over. So we can get on to our main topic 40-something minutes in,
Yeah.
like we usually do.
Yep.
Cool.
I'll open the book. The Bible.
Let us go. We're gonna.
And we actually had some old world news to cover this time, so it
True.
wasn't entirely 45 minutes of waffle.
Yeah, that's right. I've got the pitch battles up here while we go through them. Now, am I remembering this correct or wrong that the pitch battle was a scenario and now these are all called pitch battle and it's called open battle? Was pitch battle?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought
in
pitch
eighth?
battle was the direct. Yeah, the
Yeah, it's just confusing
Standard.
because
Yeah,
they're all
open battle.
Yeah, so that's cool. So it's not just me. Okay, cool. So yeah, so pitch battle, they're all pitch battles, but you have the 6. So yeah, we'll just run through this. And I thought we were thinking about them from a point of view of obviously, how they're a bit different to 8th or 6th or whatever, what's new about them, but also for the ones that are different or whatever, like maybe just have a bit of a think about if there's anything that's particular builds or just things that pop up around them, and then at the end we can have a talk about, do we like them? Do we not? Did they, they miss anything or that sort of stuff? So we're going to do 2 each, just run through what they are, but then we all have a chat about what they want. So just someone want to hold the open battles, pretty much standard. Start there. Hey, so do you want to do that one, Andrew, or you want me to cover that one?
Sure. I'll do the easy ones. So yeah, open battle. So as everyone can see, this is like your standard old school pitch battle. So coming in, obviously your 2 deployment zones are across the complete long edge of your board / map, and your deployment zones are going to be 12 inches up each side, and then there's going to be a 24-inch gap between you and your opponent. So yeah, the terrain setup is just going to be a standard. Deployments. So once the battlefield's been set up, the winner of the roll-off chooses who's going to deploy first. And then obviously you just do the alternating method. And then obviously whoever's finished deploying gets +1 of their roll. You have a roll-off, and whoever wins has to go on the first turn.
So we did cover this last week, didn't we? Where all of them are like this, but yet at the beginning of this chapter, they say...
Yeah.
So it's just you found that out, Josh. You're the one, wasn't it, that realised it was documented wrong? Okay.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah. So those catching up, it actually does say, if you don't read the scenario and you just read the setting up part, which is called the first turn, it says how to determine which player takes the first turn is detailed in each scenario. In most cases, the winner of a roll-off chooses who takes the first turn. I don't think there's any scenario that's the case. So that was just a typo, or maybe there was one.
Yeah, I thought there was one.
It might
maybe
be
not.
one. Yeah. Just a point, I guess, to clarify, that might come up in tournaments if people are reading the wrong section or, depending on which way the TO wants to do it. Yeah.
It's obviously the fixed game, you think you're just going to be seeing that everywhere. It's just your standard 6 turns. The random game length, I'm not a fan. I'm assuming you guys probably got a similar feeling with that.
I'm not against a random number. I feel like because it's starting at the 5th round. So really the only time it can get shorter is if it ends on the 6th. Is that right? Or would you always end up add the round number to dice?
Well, 5 or 6 on the 5th round, isn't it? Because you add the round number to the dice roll.
Yeah, starting at the end of the 5th round.
So
roll
on the 5 up, essentially.
Yeah.
At the round number dice roll, it's 10 or more. Yeah, but you'll always get 5 turns in, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
So really the shortest will only ever be a 5, but then it could keep going.
If you're really lucky, you could get to 7 or 8 turns, which
and that's why I think
get a bit long in the tooth.
It's already long enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I'm getting at. Is like sometimes maybe it would have been a little bit more strategical if it was like, no, it could end on turn 4 or 5, like something very quick. So therefore, you don't know, and that's the only bit. Whereas this, half the time it's decided by 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But you want that though? Like, it would be so weird if you played to turn 4 and it was just getting interesting, and then the dice at the game ends. You know, like.
Oh, potentially. But if you knew it could end on a 4, would that change things? You got to push harder just in case it does, that type of thing.
Just
that's
in case it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. No, I don't mind a bit of randomness, but yeah, it's you just don't want it.
I
Yeah,
just don't think this one would really
dragging
make
way
much
out.
difference because worst case
Yeah.
it's turn 6 and nothing's much happening in 7 and 8 because it's all wrapped up anyway. I don't know.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't think you'll
It's-
see it, Andrew. Like you said, most people will
Nah.
be fixed. I think.
So yeah, scenario special rules is nothing, and the victory conditions. So everyone should know these is you do your normal victory points for your units. The one thing that has changed, it seems like, is
The victory. I
so
can jump over to that quickly if you want.
yeah, just to refresh everybody, because we're going to be hitting these, because I think most have got these. Well, about half have got these victory conditions, or add that to other circumstances. So yeah, any enemy that is fleeing at the end of the battle, it's 50%. And then each enemy unit that's been reduced to less than 25 of its starting unit strength is worth 25%. I thought that used to be 50%, but maybe it's not.
Yeah, probably. And
I thought it was less than 50%, you get 50% of it, wasn't it? Something like that. So like much more generous than this, which is
Yeah. Well, a lot more generous. So it's kind of 25%. It kind
was
of
it fleeing was 50 as well? What was fleeing?
yeah.
That was dead and
fleeing.
fled. Yeah.
Yep.
So you've lost points.
Mm.
You've lost victory points if they're not down below that 25,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
But if somebody rallies and then they got like one or two models from a big unit, it'd be a bit of a kick in the guts only getting 25%.
Yeah, a quarter of it.
Yeah.
You reckon this is read a bit? I think they could have written this better because for each enemy unit that's been destroyed or fled, you get 100.
Off the
So that's
battlefield,
fine.
Yeah.
But these two can be, you could have both of these in one unit. You could be,
you could.
You could be fleeing, but also below 25%.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
I think that was intended, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? So does it make a difference though? Like it's just because you just take 50%, is that right? It doesn't add up.
You get 50%. Oh well.
Or does it?
I thought it was cumulative.
Oh, okay. Well, in that
Isn't
case, it's
Is
written
it?
correctly then. That's a bit
I
I
don't know,
wasn't sure about.
That's how I read it. Like,
Well, but
if they
as
reduce
rules
those
is written,
25%, what?
you would get 25% of that, and you would get 50% of this guy. Is that right?
Yeah. Is that not how you would do it?
I just
Do you not
rules
think
as
that?
intended.
Or-
I felt it was like not that way, but maybe
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. So there is some weirdness there.
That is.
There is some
that
weirdness.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Yeah,
That is
we've ended
weird.
up on different sides of the fence. Yeah.
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 So there must be.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with either. I just
no
thought
idea, yeah.
when I read it was probably what Gomo was saying.
Well,
that
that's
you
how I read
do
it.
one
Well,
or the
sorry, I
other.
read it initially that it was like, you're sort of stepping down, going, they're either
Yeah.
dead, you get 100, they're fleeing, you get 50. If they're less than 25,
I
you get
see.
this. But I was like, but hang on, what happens if you're fleeing and
could,
you're 25?
Yeah.
So, it might be that. Maybe that's why they've done the less victory point.
Hmm.
So this is the thing. Like, so without changing the subject too much, I was excited about this topic because it feels like the only time I've heard people talk about it is sort of like, oh, the scenarios are a bit boring. There's nothing much.
Yeah.
But then maybe there is these little things in it that everyone's just skipped over. So
Yeah.
might need
It's good to go through it with a fine tooth comb.
The other one, just before we jump on the other one, sorry, the game length one, the conceding part, was this documented like this before? Like if one player concedes, the game ends and victory goes to the opponent who is awarded all the available victory points. Like, could that affect tournaments? Because, a lot of times, sometimes people do concede and then they work out what it was and then they go 10, it's 10-10 or...
I think that's up to your opponent. Like you can agree to a score, but most of the time, if somebody's like, yeah, man, shakes your hand sort of thing, you've got it.
You do take
That's
everything.
always been
It's a 20-0. Yeah.
20-0.
Yeah. So that's not
In the
much
past-
different technically.
Yeah. Not sure how often you've conceded going, but in the various tournaments that I've conceded in, yes, it's been 20-0.
I think it's more like they've conceded, but we've talked through, you get this and this by turn 5 and 6. Like when you're racing near the end and you're not really finishing it. So it's not really conceding, I guess.
What they're addressing. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, keep going, Andrew. Sorry,
How,
King is.
how
Oh,
do you
no.
think?
Oh.
I just want to kind of touch back on the dead or fled thing.
Mhm.
Not being able to get many points out of a unit that's you've taken off a huge chunk out of,
Yeah.
even to get to 25% or less. Does that affect how we approach the game? Do you think like you're rewarded a lot more for having people fleeing, essentially?
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if this ties into hopefully a video we get out this week on how to combat the unkillable monsters. Because
Yeah.
if I've got a big horde unit which he can't chew through enough, and he can't get it below 25%, then he gets nothing for that unit.
Yeah. Or if you got a little unit running off, you might just not think about chasing it up. But then if you're not getting the points, maybe you do have to follow it up, sort of thing.
It's interesting. It says the starting unit strength. How do you think like if you got an 8 wound dragon down to 2 wounds or 1 wound, do you get anything for that? Because it's still the same unit strength.
Ooh.
Yeah, because their unit strength, does their unit strength drop with their wounds though?
Nah, so starting
they
wounds.
just stay.
Yeah.
Right.
Good point.
Yeah.
Look at you go, Josh.
That's the other way. That makes it even better to bring those guys in because you can never get them.
Yeah.
Unless you kill them. Oh, God, that's annoying. Surely they can change that.
But it's not that bad. Like, what you were saying, if you've got a big unit of dwarves who probably aren't going to flee, they're only going to be, getting pushed back and whatnot, or falling back in good order. If you don't get them all, it's just giving you more reason to stick around. And if you've got a big monster, he's committed to that fight for even longer, which means he's not doing anything anywhere else in the battlefield.
Yeah. No, that's right.
True.
It does work both ways, but yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, food for thought. So yeah, as you said, Gomo, King is dead, 100 victory points like it always used to be. Trophies of war. It's good to see. I'm actually glad. So so it's 50 victory points for every standard claimed as a trophy. But the BSB, Additionally, if the enemy battle standard bearer is slain, has fled off the battlefield, or is fleeing, you win another bonus 50 victory points.
So does that mean? So it's
100.
slightly different, isn't it? Because it used to be if you killed the BSB, you just got 100. But now, if I just shot your BSB off, I'd only get 50 because I didn't claim it as a trophy. But if I claimed it as a trophy in combat and killed it, obviously, then I'd get 100.
You still claim the BSB as a trophy?
Well, I would imagine yes, but maybe not. I mean, why would they put it under that?
Which is a standard, isn't it?
I'd have to go and look. I'm not sure.
Want me to
I
look?
just assumed you could, but
If you guys want to keep going, I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, okay. Scenario objectives, obviously, well, they're detailed in every scenario, so we'll look at them in a minute. Then there is these special features, which we will cover probably in the last scenario, which is in this case, if you've agreed to the inclusion of a special feature or the scenario specifies one, they've also got victory points, but they're also detailed in either features or the scenario. But we will touch on them, but might wait till there's what's called pitch battle number 6, I think it is. Back to open.
The objective, yeah, right. Yeah.
But apart from that, that's basically it with open. The only thing is the historical recreation basically says play it with less than 3,000 points.
Oh yeah.
So a big one, which I'd imagine with the size of the units getting bigger, and even on a 6x4, it'd be a pretty big, be a fair few units. Although I guess there is a lot of big unit, like big characters now.
There's a lot of big a lot of expensive monsters running around now. So anything, the armies feel smaller, which is so counterintuitive.
Yeah, and then but the funny thing is here is because it was the orcs' desire to get to the enemy. They fail their impetuous tests on a 1 to 4 instead, and they have to take the first turn. So they've just got these historical ones. They're obviously not fair technically. There's always one side that's either disadvantaged or not, but it just adds a bit of flavour, which I like for a suggestion if you are playing a lot of private games and you just don't want to keep playing the same scenario. You can technically agree on one of these ahead of time, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So with that BSB,
only orc.
No. You can switch to whatever you want, but yeah, they're just saying this was Brett's and Orcs, but yeah, you could come up with anything. Yeah.
Sorry, I'll just quickly with that standard. So yeah, you've got to run down a fleeing unit or destroy it in combat, and then if it's destroyed by any other means shooting, for example, it's not claimed as a trophy of war. Banner.
But I guess the other question is the BSB class the same way as well? Like, do you get?
Is the BSB still have the rule about being captured like a standard in the old world? Like, is that
it just said standards of defeated enemies. So standards claimed. To me, it's a standard.
Yeah. Well, we could have to we'll check that one, but I'm sure it's. I think it would be, but who knows?
Surely it will be. Surely it will be. But it's just you can't take anything for granted these days.
No,
stuff that's not in here.
I mean,
it's like, it always catches me by surprise.
Should we alternate so you're not doing the same one? So do you want to cover this one, Josh?
Yeah, I can cover this one. Which one is this one? So Breakpoint, The Doom of Odo Todmeyer 3.
Are you reading off my screen or just yours?
I'm reading off my screen.
Okay, cool.
Why?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm on the same page you're on.
Yeah, no, cool. It's just I moved it up and I didn't want to take it off if you were reading it. That's all.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sort of reading both. So, yes, this is Breakpoint. So, deployment's a little bit different to the open battle, open battle. So it's narrower, so it's 9 inches from the short edges, and it's 9 inches from the center line as well. So only 18 inches from the opponent's deployment zone. So yeah, you get into it's pretty intense. Now, how this one works? Yeah, you roll off, you choose which player deploys the plus same unit. Is that the same in all of them? Yeah, I would imagine it is. So then
at least these type of ones, yes. I don't know if the fortress ones are different or not, whatever. But,
yeah. Again, the winner of the roll-off takes the first turn.
Yeah.
All of these, so ridiculous. This one, there's no turn limit for this scenario, which is interesting. But it just keeps going till someone hits their breakpoint, which is essentially a quarter of the total unit strength of the army at the start of the game. So once you go below 25% of your army left, then you lose basically. So the game ends. So it's pretty crazy that it keeps going till that happens. Because victory is if the game ends with one army having broken, the unbroken army achieves a crushing victory. Should both armies fall below their breakpoint at the same time, you got to use victory points to determine which plays the winner, as described on the previous page about capturing standards and that type of thing. I'd imagine it's going to be pretty close though if both armies hit the breakpoint.
Yeah.
So I guess it depends on. This is the thing though, right? So it's the breakpoint is based on the total unit strength of the army. So that could vary massively, really, depending on what actual miniatures have been killed.
Totally.
Because you could still have, if you had a big monster still alive, you could have half your points value still alive when you hit your breakpoint. So it's actually very interesting they've gone for unit strength because if anything, that gives you the ability to try to delay or avoid a really nasty single character on a mount, and just try to, if they've got quite a small army, if you can take off a few of the smaller units of infantry, well, not be small, but like the smaller in point costs, like just cheap units, you take them off, you can force a breakpoint, and then
like the Chaos army, for example, if they've got the Chaos Lord on Dragon, and something, they've just got a unit of 12 warriors and
keep some marauders or
5 marauders and something like that. You suddenly go, okay, well, that might be over half their unit strength just there, so I can take them out. So I like it. It feels like some definitely obviously want to make sure everyone knows ahead of time that you're playing this and doesn't have to sit there and count it up and they actually know what the unit strength is, which is probably pretty easy to do most of the time, but just count, just timesing it out. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because some armies will have massive unit strengths, like Night Goblin army or something, versus something that's going to be quite small, but obviously harder to get it down to 25% potentially, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Because they might have brought a lot of crap pieces to make up
Yeah.
for having this huge big monster. So I don't know. I'm not convinced these scenarios really, because the worry of the big units, the big monsters and stuff. I don't know if these scenarios totally stop you taking them, but it'd be interesting if these do play
they
into it a
don't.
little bit.
Yeah, they don't. But I think it gives you some tools. I think that you can sort of
Yeah.
play around them a little bit. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Historical recreation, the doom of Odo Todmai III. It took place deep within the Forest of Shadows. So you actually got to endeavor to include as many woods as possible when setting up the battlefield, and it was fought between the remnants of his grand army of Osterland and a much larger force of beastmen. This sounds ridiculous, by the way. So the beastmen far outnumber the grand army. So the beastman player gets at least have an extra 25% more points to spend on the army. However, as much of the army emerged from the Dark Woods to entrap the Ostlanders, at least half of all the Beastman units with either the Ambusher or the Beastman Ambush special rules should be held in reserve.
Yeah.
That's
Now the
really
reserve is a
bizarre.
different. That's not. That's a different rule where you just bring them on after in your turn and they just come on your long table edge. Is that right? Because that's not an ambush, is it?
No, it's different to ambushes, but I wouldn't know off the top of my head how it works in the old world.
We'll find another one maybe because I think
I would imagine it comes on automatically or something.
I think it does, and I think you can. I don't know if you choose every turn which ones you want to bring on, but they just come on from your deployment zone. And I think because there's a point somewhere where units that don't have a movement characteristic aren't technically in reserve. They have to stay touching the back of the end zone, then back of the deployment zone, like the casket that can't move, for example, if it's in reserve. Because some of it's random at some point. That's not fair. So it's still on the table. It's just right at the back.
It's not even in the index.
Oh, is it?
It's got reserve move and no reserve. What is going on?
We'll find it. See if you can keep finding it. I don't know why.
Okay, hold on. So they're in the ambushing rules. It says a unit with a special rule may be held in reserve rather than being deployed inside the game. So does that mean being in reserve is essentially the same as ambushes?
Oh, I thought there was an actual.
I thought there was an actual rule. I agree. I can't find.
As follows. Here it is. Reserves. It's under section. So what?
There it is. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So oh no, this is a linked. No, this is to do with linked battles. It's got nothing to do with.
Oh, I found it. It is on page 285. Yeah.
Okay, I think they've duplicated it. 309. I'm on 309, but yes, I think it's just on different. What page was that, man?
285. So it's the start of the scenarios of the battle section.
Just missed it. Yeah, cool.
It's up near setting up your battlefield and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yes, you're right. Reserves. Here we go. Units that are not normally allowed to move, if they contain models with a movement characteristic of 0, are placed touching the battlefield edge. Characters can choose either to enter the battle on their own or as part of a unit. If dice are used to determine when and where reserves enter, state it. If a character is joining a unit before making any roll, if so, make a single roll. The units use the rules for reinforcements as described on page 130 for reserves.
Oh my god.
Far out. Then you got to go reinforcements. A unit that enters the battlefield as reinforcements, i.e. reserves, does so during the compulsory move subphase. It's placed with its rear arc in full contact with the battlefield edge. Yeah, cool. Okay. They count as moving.
Wait, so does that
shooting?
Yeah. Yeah. But you can otherwise move normally during the remaining moves subphase. Does that mean they just come on the first turn?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah? It's not random. Yeah. Interesting. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent.
Yeah. But this book definitely sends you around a... Oh, anyway, it's funny. Cool, I'll do flank attack then. So sometimes anyway, this is about dividing. This is this type of one. What was this one called? What was this one sort of called where it was a bit, 1 in 8th where it was a bit random.
Dawn attack?
Rolled a 1. Dawn attack, was it? Yeah. So I guess it's a replacement for that. So basically your battlefield
Yeah, it is.
split
And I don't mind it.
into. Yeah, I like it actually. Yeah, so you've got like you're obviously still 12 inches from the middle, like the center line. So it's like the same as the first one. Like you spread out
Yeah.
right along the whole thing, but you've got
Open
these
pitch
18-inch flank on
Yeah.
both sides, and then everything in the middle. The cool thing about this, which I like, is you basically got a lot more choice here, don't you? So you have to have already defined a flanking force that must contain at least one non-character unit and can be worth up to 33%. So I guess the funny thing here is may include characters but cannot be the general. Yeah. So it needs to at least have one non-character unit, but that doesn't mean you could technically then go, it's going to put one unit of fast cav in my flanking force, I guess.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of choice. You could either do that
You
or
have a
you
lot
could
of
try and
choice.
have a decent, you might have a good, I don't know, hero on a wyvern or whatever that you want to put in there because he's not a general. Plus, obviously some other, you have to put another unit in there. And then when you've done that, it's basically the same sort of setup. Both sides do that. And then you do the normal roll off to see who deploys first. And those deployments are all done in the center and they're not using the flanking forces. So, you just it's like a mini game. You set all of that up, but you can't deploy in either left or right flank. So everyone's in the middle. And then once flanking forces have been selected, each player secretly makes a note of which flank, left or right, theirs will be deployed on. Then starting with the player that won the roll-off, the player deploys their main forces within their central, which I just said. Finally, after both players have finished deploying their main forces, the players reveal their flanking forces and where they're going to be deployed. And then starting with the player that won the roll-off, they do the alternating deployment. So the cool thing with this is, you could end up with both flanking forces facing each other, both flanking forces on either end.
Yeah.
I guess you'll know that your opponent will only be in the center and one side. Like, so the terrain might play a little bit of, I guess, might be able to determine that a little bit.
That's a fair thought. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
And then obviously, again, what is going to be in your flanking force? Because you could choose to go, well, bugger it up, if I'm going to put everything in the middle, and even if they put stuff in the flanking force, hopefully I can get up and just smash their smaller force in front of me and then come around, or vice versa, So I like it because it has that element of making you deploy in a different section, but you've got a lot. It's not random like that Dawn attack one.
Yeah, you've got some more. You got more control over it. You got some more strategy about it, and it's about you can. Yeah, I agree. There's a bit of an opportunity there to try to predict what your opponent's going to do. And you're right, taking into account terrain.
I like this one. I think it's
is it 6 turns?
Sort of. Yeah, so game length will last for 6 turns or until one side concedes. No special victory points, all the same victory points. So it's really all it's about is just the funny deployment and flanking force stuff.
Which is totally fine, I think. Yeah, it's really
complex,
interesting.
Yeah.
One thing I would have liked to have... Oh, yes, sorry.
No, you're right.
Oh, no, you do... Okay, right. One thing that I would have liked to have seen, maybe we could do this anyway. I wouldn't have minded the flank deployment zones to be a little bit closer to the central line.
Yeah.
I think that would have been really interesting.
Yeah.
If they were like 9 inches away rather than 12.
You don't even know which... But it would only be that big, obviously, if they were deployed in that, because no one else is deployed in the other one too. So, it'd be interesting. So they could end up really close to each other, or free reign to try and get around the side of the other enemy.
Yeah, to actually get around the flank of the other one.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like, it would have been interesting to facilitate that,
rather than having the possibility of just having somebody throw their token little unit, their great eagle, in their flanking force, just because they have to put something in there. Yeah.
I had to put something.
I hope it doesn't just turn into that. that people just go, bugger it, just put everything.
But it would have been nice to see, like,
you want to reward taking the flanks. Yeah,
there should have been something in there just to say, take a percentage, between 20 and 33, or
it probably gets pretty hard with the maths and different granularity of units and Anyway, the historical recreation, what was this, between dwarves and wood elves, a possibly larger force of wood elves. The dwarf army should contain very few elite troops, hammerers, ironbreakers, and iron drakes, and no war machines or runesmiths. Due to their important role, it must contain at least 1 unit of Dwarf Rangers in reserve. The Wood Elves caught the Dwarf army largely by surprise. To represent this, the Wood Elf player will ultimately take the first turn. You've got to put as many woods and areas of rocky terrain. Doesn't really... there's not much else, I guess. Both sides, they've just basically limited what the Dwarves can take. But the Wood Elves take the first turn. So, interesting. Cool.
All right.
Andrew, you've got meeting engagement.
The meeting engagement. So yeah, going diagonal across the board. There is the center line, and your deployment zones are 6 inches off that center line. So yeah, it possibility of being 12 inches apart from the start, so it can be quite close. So setup is just standard with terrain. Deployment, once battlefield has been set up, the winner of a roll-off, as we all know, chooses which player will deploy first. The winner of this roll-off must also choose their deployment zone, A or B. Before deploying the army, each player rolls a d6 for each unit, including each character and war machine in their army. Then a roll of 1, the unit must be held back as reserves, as spoken about just before. So basically at any point they can, remaining moves come onto the battlefield. Strategy-wise, I'm assuming the counters moving when you come onto the battlefield as well. So that might affect war machines. Once a roll has been made for each unit, those that are not held in reserve can be deployed. Players deploy their armies using the alternating unit method. Once deployment is complete, the winner takes a roll off as before, and then add the first to finish deploying adds 1 to their roll, and then the winner obviously goes first. The game length is again 6 rounds, or until the time limit is agreed by players. So scenario special rules, reserves not deployed at the start of the battle. This is probably exactly the same as what was on the other one.
Well, this one says instead they can enter during the compulsory subphase of any turn other than the first. Did that say that?
Oh,
on the
okay.
other one?
Oh, no. I don't think I mentioned the first. Yeah.
Didn't talk about anything. It just said they're reserves.
Yeah. Which act as reinforcements. See page 34.
Oh.
There you go.
Okay, so
Yeah, so when they arrive into the battlefield from any point of the long edge, within the deployment zone, and move using the rules for reinforcements. So yeah, probably I dare say look, you only got to get a 1 for it to, so it's only a 1 in 6 chance, isn't it? So there's a good chance that if you do come in quite heavy with war machines, it's probably not going to affect you that much. But I'd say that's probably going to be your biggest problem.
Does that mean that probably won't be shooting up to turn 3 then, hey? Because you got to arrive turn 2, you can't shoot if you move.
Yeah. Which would be a massive pain. And that'd be pretty much right in your face by the time.
Well, and it's very close. I was just trying to look that up before, because I think it's closer than what it was in 8th, but I can't. I was trying to bring up meeting engagement on the screen here, but I can't remember. I don't know if you guys remember.
I thought it was quite close. I remember that because being a dwarf, I'd have to push back quite a bit just to get enough shooting in.
I don't think it was this close. I suspect it might have been 9 inches.
Maybe 9.
6.
Yeah.
God, the EPUB on 8th is annoying. It navigates left to right, and I can't seem to get the index up. So I'm trying to find it. Anyway, but it is pretty close.
Should have got
isn't
a pirated
machines. I don't have a pirated
PDF, which I've got. Oh, that was 6 inches. Yeah, so it was. Yep.
It was.
Did you find it?
It was 6 inches from the center line. Yeah, in 8th as
well. Yeah.
Interesting.
There you go.
Turn 1 charges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, the 8th edition book was good though, the look of it and stuff. So was this one, but yeah. Anyway, reminiscing. Cool.
Hold on. So is this when you're rolling for first turn? It's the same. Is this a +1? So in the 8th ed one, they had the random. I completely forgot about this. First turn after deployment, the player that set up second rolls a dice. On a roll of a 6, they can choose who has the first turn. On a roll of 1 to 5, the player that set up first chooses who has the first turn.
Right.
So
right.
yeah, there was a big advantage to. Well, there was a concession if you're setting up first that you're unlikely to get the first turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back then. Which I think they were trying to do.
Did
Because
you
it
have
was
to
such,
set up
such
your
close,
whole army
deployment
in
zones.
that, or was it alternating?
Yeah,
In...
yeah, it was. You had to set up the whole army. The player that won the
Yeah, I
roll off
think-
must deploy their entire army first.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
that's what
okay.
it
So that's
was. That was
why.
different.
That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's what you get
I was
for
getting
reading
confused then with ninth
only
age for a
part
second.
of
I
it.
couldn't remember which one was right, but yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
makes sense.
And they still had the roll of a 1 that either goes back in reserves as well. So yeah, there's been a lot that's been adapted from that.
Yeah, I mean, I
same
don't. This is the
scenario.
thing. I don't like these ones which just randomly stuff's off the table. But I mean, I don't mind just one
Yeah.
of them. But it's a bit frustrating sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you just happen to roll a 1 on the particular unit that you really need on the table, it's a bit too random, isn't it? A bit frustrating.
Yeah.
Can just ruin your day.
Well, that's it. Yeah. If you got War Machine heavy, this is could definitely hurt.
Is there anything on the historical one that's worth mentioning, or is it? Oh, this is Empire off. This was an Empire off one. Both armies plenty state troops, better to represent 2 forces on patrol. Both armies may include war machines. Neither should include any knights or wizards, as there are no suggestions any were present.
Yeah, right.
Oh, no, this is the annoying thing. Capture the nature of the battle. Units arriving as reserves that are arrayed in close order or open order should be deployed in marching columns. So if you play this, you're just like, you want pain. Yeah.
Yeah. Pain and frustration.
I don't think I'll play that one.
Oh, I like that. That's fun, actually. That should be a rule for meeting engagement. Everything deployed in marching columns. That's very themey. I like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, depending on how drilled turns out, which we'll cover that in another video. Again, that might be a reason if these are in the tournament packs that if that was in there, that you'd probably want to be taking drilled where you can, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Oh, this gives me ideas. Yeah. Marching columns. Yeah, I like it.
Am I doing Mountain Pass?
No, I'm doing Mountain Pass, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to do it.
Yep.
The old Mountain Pass. Narrow, long.
Oh, I hate
simple
this.
maneuvers difficult, outflanking almost impossible. Consequently, such battles become matters of attrition in which only the most courageous will prevail. So yeah, long ends are the short ends and short ends and long ends. 12 inches apart from the center line. And it's very similar to the pitch. I mean, the open battle. So yeah, deployments are the same. Still you roll off +1 whoever's finished first. The game length is random as well, the same randomness. So from the 5th turn, you roll a d6, add the round number, 10 or more.
Well, open battle is fixed or random, isn't it? And then this one's only random. Is this right?
Huh? Oh, I thought open. Oh, okay. Must have misread.
I think open was. Oh, maybe I'm getting confused.
Was a choice?
Yeah,
I thought open was no choice.
That's fixed.
You back up there yet?
Oh, so before the game begins,
there's 2
players
options.
can choose to play. That's interesting.
Yeah,
So does that mean even in a
Okay,
tournament.
I missed that.
Choose.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, no, this one technically not.
This one, there's no choice. No.
Yeah.
Must only be random.
Yeah.
Which I was thinking about. Like, I feel like maybe it might have been better to run it as 5 up at turn 5 it finishes, and then maybe a 3 up on turn 6 it finishes, and then turn 7 it just finishes, rather than this possibility of just constantly going ever longer.
Yeah.
This battle, like this setup, I can understand it more too, because there's more of a chance, depending on who you're playing, that they might be like castled right at the other end of the other board, and you
right
to get there as well. So I sort of like that it might go a bit longer, but again, when you think from a tournament point of view, you don't really want anything that makes it go longer because you struggle to finish them anyway. So
because you'll hit 2.5 hours and then it'll be over anyway. Yeah. So this scenario does have some special rules. So it's got bottleneck. The battle is fought in a narrow mountain pass enclosed by high cliffs. Because of this, the long battlefield edges count as impassable terrain. As such, no units, including fleeing units or any arriving from reserve, can leave or enter the battlefield via either the long edge unless they have the ethereal or fly special rule. Interesting. So yeah, so if you're ethereal or fly,
eagles.
you can go straight over the top of the cliffs.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just stuck in this horrible valley of death. And victory, it's just regular victory points going on there. And then what's the historical recreation? The Battle of Gisuru. How do you pronounce it? Gisuru Gap.
Gisuru Gap.
The R in there is confusing me. It's a
Gisuru.
brutal affair between two elite and well-equipped armies, Bretonians versus, what is it?
Empire.
Empire, yeah. The Army of Westerland. Ooh. Oh, it may include any number of veteran state troops, rather they all have the mercenary special rule. And to reflect the bitter nature of the battle and the inability of troops to simply turn tail and flee, the players may give up up to half their units the stubborn special rule.
Yeah, right.
Random.
Yeah. That's a weird one.
And then both armies need to... Wait, this last sentence is a bit ridiculous. So both armies will be led by General mounted on a warhorse, representing Sir Desleville and Countess Bergbrecht.
So,
and then, as the battle was a matter of honor, players should spare no efforts in ensuring a challenge is fought between the generals.
Historically, there's no evidence that the two fought single combat during the battle, but as the battle was a matter of honor, players should spare no effort to ensure
That's so ridiculous.
I love that. It's not really historical anyway, because we're playing fantasy here, but historically there's no evidence they ever fought, but you should try and make them fight. I like that. That's typical old school Warhammer humor there.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
The
only thing I'd say about that one that I like those deployment, I don't mind playing that sideways one sometimes because again it makes terrain interesting because so often you set up terrain, thinking that it's the two armies going that way and then suddenly going the other way. So yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, it does limit your flanking opportunities, which is such a integral part of the game. It really rewards castling. So I agree, though. It is nice to have a different angle sometimes because, someone's just look at a table. You always just look at the long edges and how they interact. But,
you got a lot more like multi-waves, basically, because sometimes you just can't fit in. So you've got stuff in front of each other and things like that. So
you have the fast stuff sort of, But that's sort of the problem is, like, if you were going up against a castle entrenched dwarf force with, are you really going to send everything over slow, or you're just going to send everything over as quick as it can go? Because you're going to have, obviously, all your fast stuff getting shot up first. And
I
getting
think,
in
though,
combat
again,
first.
going back to terrain, which is different to 8th, is there's a lot more line of sight blocking terrain than there was in 8th. And if I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of people end up like I do it. Like, you end up with like hills in deployment zones. But if you're going the other way, maybe the hill's at the other end and you don't have it. So there's 3 forests and all this stuff in the way, and maybe you can hide a lot more,
Yeah, well, bombardment will still get around, but obviously you lose accuracy with the bombardment rule.
Yeah, but cannons won't be able to shoot you, I guess. But
yeah.
Anyway, next one, command and control. So this is getting the old watchtower in a way. So it's standard 12-inch deployment from the middle, but there has to be a significant, special feature, significant terrain feature at the center of the table. And we'll get into that in a minute. But basically, yes, place terrain as described. In addition, place the single special feature in the middle. It looks like deployment's the same. Whenever a roll-off chooses which player will deploy first. That's all the same. Alternating, +1, that's the same. Game length is either fixed or random.
Yeah, you got the choice again.
Yeah, for that one.
It's bizarre how they put it in some and not others.
The biggest, and then once the battle's ended, use victory points. However, if you control the special feature, you win an extra 200. In addition to any bonus, the special feature also gives. So it's probably worth quickly looking at the features.
Oh, yeah, this is a discussion in itself.
Cool.
I was reading this before, and I'm just like...
I don't think I've got to this part of the book, the special features.
Actually, I'm excited. I'm hoping that we see
combat
some
is
of them, but I don't
confusing.
know. Ah, yeah, I know. It's a bit
That's
annoying.
confusing.
Special features. So these are terrain that, represent a important landmark, something like that. You can just use them, but also obviously these scenarios that we just talked about, describe you using one.
Oh god. Wait, is this all like building occupation rules?
Sort
Yeah,
of, but it's
kinda.
And it's central to the
fairly
objective.
simple.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but you don't have to put a building, so this is the cool thing. So all special features must be placed within 12 inches of the center of the battlefield. And then each special feature can be controlled either through, and that's described in the feature, either through proximity or occupancy. And the benefits of control is can grant that unit that's controlling it certain conditions. So if it is proximity, it's a unit strength of 5 or more, not fleeing. You have to be within 6. If 2 or more eligible enemy units are within 6, the unit closest to the special feature controls it. If there
that's
is no
interesting.
one equally close, then no one controls it.
Yep. That's different to like the highest unit strength or something. I think that's probably a good way of doing tie breaks, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so just get as close as you can to it.
Just get as close as you can. Yeah.
Yeah, and then occupancy, obviously you have to be in it. A unit can occupy a special feature by moving into base contact during remaining moves. Once its movement's complete, the unit's placed within the special feature. So when they're in there, they cannot charge. They can shoot and cast spells 360 line of sight. They can be shot at, but they're classed as being behind full cover. All measurements to and from is taken from the actual base of the feature. Therefore, yeah, and because of so this is where it starts getting limited. They can only be occupied by a single unit, and then unless it's fleeing, a unit occupying a special feature can leave during the remaining move subphase by making a follow-up move or by pursuing an enemy. Simply place the unit in formation so that at least one model is in base contact with the feature. The unit's movement then ends. I think different occupancy features have different rules around who can go in it, though. I guess that must be where it's covered, I think. Is that right? Occupancy? Because this doesn't tell you about unit strength going in it. Hey?
Yeah,
This
or
is one unit
yeah,
just general.
monstrous things or cavalry
Yeah.
or anything. Yeah.
So there's about 4 of them or something. So there's arcane monoliths. Controlling an arcane monolith is a proximity one. So that's like like a Beastman Herdstone or an altar or something like that. When you're controlling it, the unit that controls it gets magic res -1, and the wizards can re-roll. Is this right? May re-roll a single dice that rolls a natural 1 when making any casting rolls. Plus, you get an extra 50 points if you control it. So I guess like going back to our scenario, if you played with an arcane monolith and you controlled it, you actually win 250 victory points if you're controlling it at the end of the battle, because it was 200 for the scenario and 50 for this arcane monolith. Monument of Glory is also proximity. And what did they say this is? This is... How's this different? Small patch. So I guess it's an older thing that's hanging around. List is endless anyway. They give you some blurbs up there, but I'm not going to read it. It's an inspirational sight. A monument of glory fills all who look upon it with a sense of achievement. The unit that controls the monument may reroll failed panic tests. In addition, all units that belong to the same army may reroll failed rally tests. Is that in addition, all units that belong to the same army? So does that mean you control it within 6 and then all your army is rerolling failed rally tests across the whole board?
That's how it reads, isn't it? All the units that belong to the same army. Yeah.
Interesting.
Board-wide BSB. Crazy.
Yeah, basically. Then honour thy forebears. Many warriors are filled with a sense of righteous pride when tasked with the defence of the monument. The unit controls the monument gains the hatred of all enemies special rule. Makes it hard for them to get out of there. Victory points controlling an important landmark is 50 extra victory points. So with these ones where you're not in the building, I guess you're near it, but then this whole pushback mechanism is interesting that you can push people. You could fight next to it and push them away, and now you're closer. That type of thing, potentially. Something like that. This is pretty cool. What else have we got?
For sure.
Dark Ruins.
Dark Ruins.
Dark Ruins are a building, impassable terrain that begin occupied by a unit whose troop type is infantry and which has a unit strength of 20 or less, or by a character model of any troop type. But Dark Ruins are not controlled by a unit that occupies them. Oh, sorry, are controlled by a unit. So does that mean, okay, so character model of any troop type, but a character model mounted on a monster becomes a monster, but that's okay because a character model of any troop type. Is that right? So can a dragon occupy this?
Of any troop type. Any troop type. Yeah? Yeah, because a dragon would be a troop type, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, it's a character still, which just ends up being
It's just a monstrous creature or behemoth. Yeah, that's still a troop type, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd agree.
That's how you define it.
That seems a bit weird.
It seems a bit weird.
Trying to get that out. Dark Aura. If the unit occupying the Dark Ruins causes fear or terror, all enemy units must apply -1 modifier to the leadership characteristic. If they don't, then they end up. If the unit occupying the Dark Ruin does not cause either fear or terror, it becomes immune to both fear and terror. So if you do cause fear or terror, you've got an extra -1. If you don't, then you're at least immune to it. You don't cause it, but you're immune to it. Defended position. When an enemy unit charges a unit within the Dark Ruins, it's charges the feature itself rather than the model. When charged in this way, a unit treats all of its arcs as front. A unit that occupies Dark Ruins is considered behind a defended low obstacle. A unit that flees while occupying does not move. The unit counts as fleeing and must rally as normal, but rather than run away, will seek cover in the safety of the walls. So that means like fleeing, they don't. I thought somewhere it said if they break, they automatically die, though. Is that right? Where's that? In combat, a unit occupying will not give ground or fall back. Instead, the unit holds its ground. Should a unit occupying Dark Ruins break and flee, it's completely destroyed and removed from play. Okay, so the fleeing part, it must... When are you ever going to flee if you're immune? Oh, I guess you could flee. Panic.
I guess if you just break if you fail the break
Yeah.
check, don't you? Like just straight up fail it.
But if you fail a break test, then you're dead. Should a unit occupying Dark Ruins break and flee from combat, it's completely destroyed. A unit that flees while occupying doesn't actually run away. Okay, yeah. Should Dark Ruins ever be hit by a template? So this is pretty common with the buildings. Every model currently occupying it is considered to be underneath the template and risk being hit. However, due to the protection offered, they are hit on a 5 up rather than the usual 4. Incoming, should Dark Ruins ever be hit by Cannonball, it suffers D3 strength 4 hits with an AP of -1. I don't even know what are they current. What's a Cannonball do now these days? Can't remember.
That seems small compared to what it should be doing, I would imagine.
I guess it's got
it's
cover.
just like one hit. Well, it depends on the cannon. It's like strength 8 or strength
4
10.
hits only. Yeah.
You're not going to be shooting that
No
dragon if it's in there.
wounds or anything. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like he's going to put a dragon in there, and then he's not shifting.
And you get an extra 100 too, so that's 300 for this scenario. If you put a dragon in there, that's pretty crazy.
That's so crazy. You can only put infantry or a character on a dragon. Like no cab, no other sort of.
I did see too.
Stuff. What the fuck
is this? Dark Ruins. Oh no, it's the tower that talks about. Oh god, there's more than I thought here. Oh no, that's just
the tower. Interestingly, they've worded that differently. The tower, the character model whose troop type is infantry.
Yeah, and which has a unit strength of 10, or a character whose troop type is infantry. Yeah, so like the tower is smaller, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the ruins, like to me, ruins
So
is like open. sort of thing.
Yeah, so why is it that it can only be occupied by a troop type as infantry or a character model of any troop type? Like, it's weird that they still limit the troop type. Do you think?
Yeah.
You sure there's not? Is there building rules somewhere else? Because I recall something about you can only get 5 people to fight, or is that this one?
I'm sure I read that too. Yeah, I'm thinking there must be building rules somewhere else.
Oh no, this is it. It's this one. So a tower.
Is this one? Oh,
Yeah, tower is
Okay.
Protected by tall
That's
walls
what
and
it does
steep
it.
buildings. You can only basically attack them. Can only be charged by an enemy unit or a character model whose troop type is infantry, or by an enemy with fly axe. So it's sort of almost the opposite. That dragons are the only ones who can attack these guys now, but or infantry because they've got to go up the stairs. Their class, both units are considered to be in skirmish when fighting. However, due to the close confines of the tower, only 5 models from either unit can join the fighting rank. So this one, like, because it's just infantry, I feel like, people with monstrous infantry, potentially, would you get more? Not really. I mean, you'd only get 3 in there.
Yeah,
but
well,
then
you
you've
can
got
only
9
have a unit strength of
attacks.
10 or less to even occupy
Yeah.
it. So you could only have a smaller unit of monstrous
Yeah,
infantry.
but you still
to start with.
potentially might have 3 attacks each, which is 9, whereas some 5 models of normal infantry might only have 5 attacks. So, there might be some things to think about there in terms of the types.
Yeah,
of
I guess
units to
unless you
put in
get
there.
charged by a dragon with fly.
Yes, then it doesn't matter. Then it doesn't matter. There's only 1 model.
Don't worry about that little guy.
It's basically elevated. You can draw a line of sight everywhere. I'll just try to rush through this a bit now. Duck and cover. It's the same sort of thing where they don't run away, but if they do break and flee, they're broken.
Yeah, right.
Huddled
Yeah,
together,
so huddled
5
together.
up on a template,
Yep.
D3 strength 4 hits at 100 points. So so there's basically two occupying special features listed and 2 proximity ones. I do like the idea that way you got different, you can use, if people don't like those building rules because of the, the fact, especially that first one where you could potentially put a dragon inside it, that's a bit dumb. But at least the other ones might be interesting, having that, monolith or something makes it a little bit more interesting. I bet still being able to use that scenario.
Yeah.
Should be cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
for sure.
What did you think overall, though? Like, were they a bit better on sort of more in-depth read? Like, not as, like there's certainly some there that I'm, that flank attack I'm quite interested to try.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't mind those.
Even the breaking one's interesting.
Yeah, the breaking one's interesting. I think that's a Lord of the Rings inspired one. I'm pretty sure there was a similar dynamic of once you go below 25%, the game ends.
I don't even mind this last one. I'd probably just, obviously police the type of feature, Even that last one, the tower, is that bad? It's for unit strength 10 has to be infantry, basically. Except a dragon can attack it and just destroy whatever's in there, but then can't get in there. He can't occupy it, so he can't win it.
Yeah, it shouldn't be allowed to occupy it, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think this one is probably the one where it's absolutely worthwhile having a random game length of all of them.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like, not knowing when the game ends is so crucial to when you're holding the objective at the end of the game.
Yeah.
The others is not so important.
Yeah.
So it's weird they give the option for a fixed game for this, but not for the
other one.
The mountain pass, which must be random apparently, even though it doesn't really matter.
No.
No, it's good. No, I just feel like I just felt like originally I skimmed them and didn't look at them, and I was a bit disappointed initially when I skimmed them. This is right back.
Me too.
And I just thought, because I was like, they're just like apes, but not exactly the same. But now I'm like, actually, I still think they could have done maybe a bit better job or something a bit different.
They could have done a better job.
But I still don't think it's.
But you're right. This has been therapeutic because I felt the same.
Yeah.
There's
a few here I want to play. Put it that way. So maybe not.
Yeah, and there's stuff that if we want to, could be built on as well. Like especially the meeting engagement or the flanking. Is that the meeting engagement one? The flanking one?
The meeting engagement, the reserve.
What was the?
Oh yeah.
What was the tank one? Yeah, the flank attack one, I
attack.
think, has got
Yep.
some real interesting
Yeah.
That's good.
thought about double bluffing as well. Like, imagine if you did have a massive piece of terrain on one of your flanks, and then your opponent's like, oh, he's not going to use that because that's a piece, that's a useless. So then you're just like, no, I'm going to plonk it in there anyway. It's like
That's
completely
right.
double bluffed out. Like, I think that really adds a really
you
fun
do know their flanking
game.
force on the list, don't you? You do know
Well,
what's
I
in their
think so.
flanking
I
force.
think
Yeah, you
you'll
would.
see it.
You deploy first anyway.
Nominated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You deploy first anyway. Yeah, that's true.
I would have liked what's missing
Yeah.
here. Like, I would have liked potentially one where you have to get to the other deployment zone or something. I think that's missing a bit.
Like a breakthrough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To
That's what it
reward
was.
armies.
Breakthrough. Yeah.
Trying to get through to the other side. I think that
Stops a bit of
that's
castling.
really worth it.
Yeah. No, it does.
Yeah, for sure.
Was there any
sure.
I didn't really remember what the sixth one was, but were they pretty similar? Or I can't remember. Was there any?
Yeah. I think none of them were. They had similar sort of things going on, but they just seem to
putting
build
a
on
random
each.
cart that moves around. That the other controller controlling play against.
That would have been good.
That would have been awesome. Yeah. or a princess carriage. You had to get to the other side of the game.
Yeah.
You know what, guys? We talked a long time for those pitch battles. Are we going to attack these magic items, or you want to do them a different day?
Now, how are we up? Oh, we're almost at 2 hours now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm torn.
Do you want to start something? Do you want to just do like magic weapons or something?
Oh, we can do magic weapons, because that can lead on to our what's coming up.
Is the generic one
this week
you're talking about?
Just generic. Yeah, we're going to start.
Yeah.
We're going to start just generic. As in core, like from the core book. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Got them set up right here, ready to
Trying
go.
to find it. Sorry.
The BBB.
Let's do that because it's going to take. I'd like to cover all these and then into the other armies and stuff. So we might as well we'll cover. Let's do magic weapons and then see how. If we've got time to do magic armor, that's enough, and then we can catch the other ones later.
Yep.
Cool.
For sure.
Who wants to lead us off?
I'll start with the Ogre Blade, also known as Gomo's Bane. This is what I taught.
Can I ask one question first, actually, because I heard this. This is more around selecting. Can you only carry one of each type unless it says it? That's true, isn't it? There was just a rule somewhere that said, I saw somewhere written once that was like, you can't have it, like, like when you've got a magic weapon and you've got a mundane weapon, you can't use the mundane weapon. But it then does say if you've got two magic weapons, you've got to choose which one you're going to use in the combat. But then I was like, can you ever have two? Because can you select two?
Yeah, I don't know. I never thought about
that. I didn't think.
Like if you had like a lance and then like a sword or something.
Yeah. I was just thinking, is there any cheap weapons where you actually do have like a great weapon one and then because you know how you were saying like the Monster Slayer, which we'll get into, is like I just got shit AP. So I was like, can you switch? But then I was like, can you even do that? Like, anyway, I'll have to look at it then. I thought maybe you guys might know off the top of your head, but
No, I don't know.
No. Okay, well, we'll look at that later then. Okay, cool. Oh, hang on, here it is, limitation and uniqueness. Yeah, who cares? Doesn't matter. Let's go into the weapons. Ogre Blade.
Ogre Blade. So 65 points. So she's pretty taking a lot of points out of your magic item allowance. So pretty much only going to be seen on Lords with got their 100 points. So obviously you're coming in strength +2. So that is really good. So you're going to be seeing sort of strength 6 and 7 getting around using this with the buff. AP -2 is fantastic. With your armor bane 1, magical attacks is obviously good against your ethereal, etc. And I think the magical attacks affect demons as well, possibly.
think so.
Is that the ones they don't get their ward save against it? Maybe I haven't
Yeah,
looked at them in
possibly.
depth. Sorry, you might be right there.
And of course,
what's Demon Army? There is no Demon Army in this game.
Demons are good. Demons are really, really good. People say the PDFs aren't good. Man, they're good. They are good.
I
Multiple
didn't see
wound,
them in the Ravening Hordes book.
the Ravening Hordes, the multi-wound D3. Obviously, that's what everyone's coming
Yeah.
here for.
Yeah.
So yeah, I took this on my Strigoi Ghoul King or whoever it is, Strigoi King, with Vamps, and with his hatred, this thing was just eating units up. So yeah, this is really good. Obviously, it's very expensive, but yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think you said it. It is. It's like if you know you've got a bit of protection, or you know you're going to be striking first and doing a fair bit of damage, then you don't care about your defensive part. So
Yeah.
It seems like you either pick this one, or if you want defensive, you sort of fall back to the Giant Blade or something.
Yeah. True that.
Yeah.
All right.
I think you'll see it a lot still, though. I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So can I clarify something? So yeah, I did find the sentence. There was in limitations uniqueness that a model can only purchase one magic item from each category, but the extremely common magic items, the asterisk ones, can be purchased, alongside other magic items from the same category. So there are a couple of swords.
Oh, there is.
There's 3 of the really cheap ones that are asterisks. So you can actually purchase those in addition to other magic weapons.
But none of them have AP? No. But there might be also in other
sort of
books,
might does.
One. Oh,
yeah, there'd be other swords in other books for sure.
Yeah, so this is the thing. So, I mean, sorry, we're jumping into tactics here, but this idea of potentially taking Sword of Might alongside something else, and you just choose when you want to use each one.
Just completely blowing out your points.
Yes, well, yeah.
Magic points.
Because it's 70. Yeah, that'd be 70 points in Magic for 1 extra AP. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah, or if you ran the Dragon Slaying Sword or something, but super situational, so you want some, Magic Sword of Might.
Yeah. Josh, do you want to keep going with the Sword of Battle?
Sword of Battle? What is this one? So what does this have? +1 strength, -1 AP, unmade 1 extra attack, magical attacks, 60 points. Seems reasonably versatile, I mean, these are all quite expensive, but I don't see any.
And this is the thing is it's Lords, isn't it? Really? I mean, there's probably some other characters that can take more than 50, but it feels like this is your Lord allowance. We keep calling it Lord, but yeah.
Lord.
Yeah.
I don't know why you wouldn't spend.
I don't think we're going to see.
Yeah.
I feel like the Ogre Blade's significantly better than the Sword of Battle.
Jeweler's Blades, hey? 55 points. Strength as user -1 AP. Extra attacks +2. Requires 2 hands. So it's like, to me, it's like, now you can't even have shields. 55 points. Just, you're paying for this. Wow, you got 2 attacks, but your strength, which isn't great, potentially, most strengths 4 or 5. I don't know, those two feel a little bit overpointed, I should say, not OP. Compared to the Ogre Blade.
100%.
Yeah, the Ogre Blade's good.
Should I keep going? I'll get all the fun ones.
Yeah.
The Dragon Slaying Sword, 50 points. Why wouldn't you? So, this has obviously got strength just as user. No AP, which is a huge thing. For obviously, if you're going in against, knights or high armor non-monsters, it's not going to be very good. So it comes in with magical attacks and Monster Slayer. So Monster Slayer, basically, if you roll a 6 to wound, you get no armor, no regen, but you can still take a ward save. But if he fails a ward save, you lose all your remaining wounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is really good, but the problem is obviously you need to be out. So the thing that makes this really good is if you get a model that can carry it who's got high number of attacks and obviously can hit, so either has hatred or really good weapon skill, just so you're gonna be able to have a decent chance at getting a 6.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking too, like potentially models like the Black Orc War Boss or something that has a lot of ways to get extra attacks,
Yeah.
extra eight. Like some of those APs, do they count onto this? Like the not the chopper, because obviously the chopper doesn't, but his Fury's charge gives him +1 extra attack, stuff like that. All these and they've got the
Yeah.
reroll to the Wag gives him reroll to hit. I think one of them's reroll ones to hit.
Oh,
One of
yeah.
them's reroll ones to wound. I think it's the Wag gives him reroll ones to hit. So potentially you're getting ways to
Yeah.
buff up, and some of their magic does as well. So you got ways to maybe buff up number of attacks plus some AP added on, if you know what I mean, which then might make this one even more useful.
Yeah, because if you can get 4 rolls to wound, so like 4 dice to roll,
Yeah, there's a good chance that you're going to get
really
a
good
6
chance.
potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's your highest ward you're seeing is really just a 5-up, isn't it? So,
Most time, yeah.
mm.
Is there
Yeah,
any
so-
4-up ward ones? I've seen some 3-up wards against shooting, but I don't know about magic items that give you a 4-up ward in general.
Yeah.
I think that's gone. Probably wrong though, because there's so many. Yeah, Josh, Headman's Axe.
Yeah, Headman's Axe, 45 points. This one is strength user +1, AP1. It gives killing blow magical attacks requires 2 hands. Harder to justify than the Dragon Slaying Sword, I feel.
Is the
'cause
monster
you're already dealing with
only
the-
monsters though, not infantry? It's not a full heroic killing
Yeah.
blow, or it does all of it?
Nah, it's just monsters.
Okay. Yeah.
Monster slaying.
Yep.
So this is a gives you killing blow against infantry sized guys, but
Yeah.
I feel like that's more of a niche sort of application, just because of the way that the monster amount of guys are really dominating them. What we're seeing so far. This also requires 2 hands, which again it's a bit of a detraction from it.
You're going to lose at least 1 armor, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, you get an extra bit of strength and AP, I guess, but
yeah, it might be a little. I don't know. I think you might still see it occasionally. It just depends too. If you got like, you might see it in units. Like heroes that are in units that are probably going to go against other units a bit to kill. To kill other characters, maybe, or
against like dwarves, stuff like dwarves, you don't have monsters, so this sort of stuff would come in. But obviously that's situational. So.
Yeah. And then you got the Spell Eater Axe, 35 points, strength as usual -1 AP, magical attacks, magic res -2. I mean, at 35 points, a little annoying, because I thought if that was cheaper, you'd put it on champion, and then suddenly that unit's getting magic res -2, and then that's pretty good. I think at 35 points, you start going, I've got to have an actual, hero level character carrying it. But again, I don't know if we've seen the full repercussions of magic res yet, and whether or not it's going to be, it might actually be quite useful.
Yeah.
True.
And it is cumulative in some sense. Like I know there is some that don't accumulate, but I think magic res can. No, the other way around. Magic res, most things are cumulative, but magic res says it's not. I think, is that right? It's the one that says it has to. You got to just choose the highest. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I think it's that one. Yeah.
Giant Blade. I am getting all the good ones. Look at this. So Giant Blade, I rate that this is really good. 30 points, quite cheap. So you can get your not the Lord level, but your standard sort of hero level guys. So strength +1, so user +1. No AP again. so it's a little bit limited in that regard. It does have Armor Bane 2 magical attacks, but it's got multi-wound 2. So I think this is going to be really good against like your non-armored monsters and things like that. So like monstrous infantry and monstrous cavalry or giants. Yeah. So yeah, well, I reckon it's great. You guys
I think so.
on board? Yeah.
You got Armbane too. Hopefully fish some 6s. That might help a little bit. But
that could totally help. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes the multi-wound too. I mean, I know the Ogre Blade's D3, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's sometimes nice to just have that consistency and go, it's two wounds. So,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, statistically it's the same, really, isn't it? But more consistent, more predictable.
Yeah.
Sword of Swiftness, 25 points. This is strength as user, no AP, strike first. And that's it.
Cheap and cheerful. But I mean, the cool thing is that these ones below are ones that you just probably never took before, but you could now because you can put them on champions.
Yeah.
So some interesting. I mean, I don't know if you would all the time, but certainly some of these you might.
Yeah.
I mean, would you ever? No, I was just trying to think of that. Yeah, Berserker Blade. That's not a common one, is it? No, the Sword of Swiftness wasn't common. Berserker Blade's not either. Strength +1, Frenzy magical attacks for 20 points. Now, I'm assuming if you're Frenzy in a unit that's not, you're still Frenzy. Is that right? Is that how it works?
I would think so.
I would think so. Yeah.
So Sword of Might, this is going to be, is this your first common sword? Common?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Extremely common.
Extremely common. Everyone's got them. So strength user +1, AP of 1, magic attacks coming at 20 points. It's kind of decent, but it's one of those things. This is the problem when you get down to these sort of things. It's like, do you really want to spend 20 points on? You might see it.
It's interesting. I'm wondering if there's more use for some of these where you put them on your champs and you come across people who don't. So when you challenge them out, you're probably killing their champ, and suddenly you've got a champ left to sort of get eaten by a dragon, because that's what I think is the rule at the moment. Yeah. So maybe there's a bit of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because that sort of that's exactly the same points cost and everything as it was in previous editions, I would have thought, is it? Yeah, in 6th ed it was, in 8th ed as well. So it's interesting that we took, because that was a stalwart, really. Like your BSB, you'd often give it to it, or, because they couldn't take anything else, really. So it's, interesting that we might not see it as much these days. Biting Blade, 15 points. Strength as user 2 AP and Armor Bane 1 magical attacks. Not a bad little item, that, I think, for 15 points to put on the champion.
And the other thing too with some of these cheap ones, maybe you've buffed up your Lord or whatever to be heaps defensive, and you've just got these couple of little ones, extra points just to put them on,
Yeah. That is pretty good.
Because, if anything, Armor Bane armor penetration seems more important than strength in some ways.
Yeah. So if you're a decently strong, if you're a strength 5 character that's like souped up with armor, then maybe you might take this because suddenly you got AP -2 at least, up to -3 with Armor Bane, plus magic attacks if you come across Ethereal for 15 points. Not too bad.
For the cost, 100%.
Is it me? Sword of Striking, another common one. So during the combat phase, the wielder of the Sword of Striking has a +1 modifier to their rolls to hit for 15 points. Again, not too bad. Like, again, if your character's pretty good strength-wise and stuff, okay, you're missing AP here, but 15 points suddenly +1 to hit. Because generally, if you put this on something that's quite beefy, he's probably hitting on 3s a lot, and now he's hitting on 2s. It could be that, but again, I'm just saying those ones, if potentially you've gone defensive with everything else, you just want a little bit of a bump, potentially anyway.
Yeah, The lack of AP that's going to hurt, but
Yeah.
could come in useful.
Definitely. It's just lucky last. The Burning Blade, the last common and last magic weapon. 5 points. So this is when you're trying to fill out your roster, so you can get your 2,000 points. You got 5 points spare. So strength as user, no AP, magical attacks, but obviously being a Burning Blade, it is flaming. So obviously good against your regen. It's really all we're really going to be seeing it for. But I can't see, it's one of those things, like maybe for a champ or something like that. But yeah, if I had points, I'd probably be obviously spending more points on something a little bit better. But yeah, flaming attacks, I mean, that's
the other thing is you potentially, I mean, this is really niche, is putting these things on like your fast cav guys who might come up against war beasts because they're about the only things that's scared of flaming. Isn't that the thing that flaming attacks does? Because flaming doesn't negate regen. It only does if regen, the target with regen also has the flammable keyword. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's, no, I don't, there probably are one for one a lot, but I'm just wondering if it's just, seems a bit weird.
I think it's all undead, but I'm not too sure about wood elves and whatnot.
Cool. Oh, well, I mean, there's some good ones in here. And it's interesting, just that little point we made at the beginning, that you technically could take 2 magic items, 2 swords, and switch between them if you had to. I don't know if you'll see that, but sort of an option if you really want to spend your points on stuff. But like, I mean, could you combine the biting blade 15 points with the dragon one? But what's that, 65 points then?
Yeah, actually, that's a good combo. That is a really
That's
good
not
point.
a bad combo. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to run it. Oh, wait, biting blade's not, no, it doesn't have an asterisk though.
Oh, shit, that's not an asterisk.
No.
Missed that one. I'm looking at the wrong
So
one.
close.
But that would have been good.
That would have
been good.
It'd have to be the sword of might, but then that's the 20. That's what we said was 70 points. Yeah.
Which is still consider, like, if you were running someone with the Dragon Slayer sword, you almost do need to give him a backup sword, because it is, somewhat situational to give him that sword. To give the Dragon Slaying sword. So having a sword of might, I feel like would be a worthwhile. Even though it makes 70 points, I still feel like it'd make it a worthwhile investment.
Yeah, then you'd have to just,
if you were going to run that sword.
We'll get to armor next time probably, but then you only got 30 points potentially left to do something with between talismans and stuff. But again, if you're on a monster, you're probably a little bit protected in some sense, but like 100%. You got more wounds as well and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, cool. Oh, well, we might leave the rest of the magic for next week. What do you reckon? Magic items, I should say. Yeah, cool. Now, there's nothing that jumped out that I hadn't seen, but it was good to clarify that other little rule, because it does make you think that you might see that little tactic occasionally. Double ones, but cool. Okay, guys. Is there anything else you want to cover with all those stuff, or should we close out today's show?
No, we've just got a big couple of videos coming up.
Yeah, we do. We're going to try to... Are we going to try to do a faction review this week as well, or we want to just target the monster slaying one first? We're going to try and tell you how to slay your monsters. Probably get a stream in, hopefully, and then maybe even a faction
Yeah, stream would be nice. Yeah,
was that going to be demons?
Don't know.
Is that what we're looking at? Don't know yet.
Yeah.
I should read whatever we're going to do, though, hey?
Josh,
I've read that once.
A couple he could do as well. I think you'd have 2, wouldn't you? A couple of pointy ears. And...
maybe. Definitely Brett's.
Definitely Brett's.
Brett's is probably the one I know well enough to know.
It'd be good to get one out. We'll see how we go. We might get one out. And I do have some other people lined up for some other ones, but I haven't sorted them out. I've told them, but I haven't said that I'd like to have them on, but I haven't actually set a date, so we'll have to sort that out. But yeah, we'll have some other videos out this week on YouTube. But yeah, okay. well, if that's all us, I'll just, thanks guys for listening to another one of our Old World Fanatics episodes. If you enjoyed this, our ramblings over magic items and stuff, we'd love a 5-star review on your podcast software of choice.
Yeah.
Or if you're also now watching us on YouTube, because we do like hanging out there, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and click the bell to be notified of our latest videos. And again, I'll just pipe this again. Feel free to join our Patreon if you want some of the behind-the-scenes chatter that we to post. You also have sort of a private channel on our Discord as well that you can get in touch with us. But outside of that, you can email us and find us on oldworldfanatics@gmail and oldworldfanatics on all the socials. So until next time, guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Old World Fanatics, and we'll see you next time.